today.
Oh,
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon.
good morning, guys.
Uh, Hide all these different Zoom things. So last week, I think one of the things that said about BTC around the start of the review was that this has been a cycle of price discovery and then long sideward ranges with some downside deviation, and then off we go again to the races. And that pattern seems to be playing out again. Now, I know we've got to be careful not to see things that are not there, but I'm feeling pretty bullish this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like last week, it was kind of like, well, we've seen a downside deviation before. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's see what happens. We grabbed a lot of liquidity. I think we went
Mm-hmm.
down as low as 97, but we
Yeah,
didn't go as low as that previous low there, I don't
I
think.
know. I know. It looks like
Yeah.
it's that level is being front run, which is what we want to see, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I was watching that level closely as well. That's why we'll work through we'll go through the
Mhm.
trade. That's why I decided to actually go long on Bitcoin. Um,
Yeah, nice trade.
mm,
Now, I mean, I want to see us get back into this range and I want to see us challenge for at least the halfway point of this range over the next,
mm-hmm,
uh, the next week. And then kind of see where we are. Of course,
mm-hmm,
if this is a relief rally, we might reject from this 106, and then but hey, you never know. I mean,
mm-hmm,
you might have a situation where Bitcoins and altcoins peak at the same time. We might continue to have this situation where coins just seemingly like Filecoin, Vulcan Forge, poof, seemingly out of nowhere. They're
mm,
doing 100% each.
mm,
Uh, I think there's a lot of price action like that Filecoin and Vulcan Forged and a lot of other coins, Woo, for example. They're all in this kind of downside deviation. They've all fallen outside of their ranges. They're the kind of coins
mm,
you look at and you're thinking to yourself, well, I need to see something from you to give me a reason to want to keep, kind of going on. Otherwise, these might be coins that we'll have to cut.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
you know we got something, and that does play into your theory of rather than maybe the rising tide lifts all boats, maybe things just sectors shoot off, or so it just makes the game even more well, it's an
tough.
impossible game and it's meant to be an impossible game. That's why people enjoy playing it.
Exactly, exactly. Otherwise, like everybody will be making money, and that's not what the markets usually do. They try to fuck everybody up, pretty
Yeah,
much. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
that's kind of the market's game. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go
That's
through
just on the
your
monthly
go,
there.
go through what you see on Bitcoin, and then I'll go through all the analysis and stuff like that, and things that I'm watching closely. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not too much more for me to say on this, and I think we'll have more of a Q&A type session today. So get your questions ready in the chat. Any charts maybe that you want to look at. So just to finish off, then this is just the monthly on Bitcoin, and it's always worth zooming out to see, what Bitcoin is doing on the monthly, and it's climbed back into this range, and that's
Mm-hmm.
that's where we want it to be, you know. So,
Just be aware. Obviously, we're looking at the monthly now. We are only 10 days in,
hmm
so you know that could shift dramatically tomorrow. You know what I mean? Because obviously, something to be mindful in terms of building this. Think about it from the perspective that every time that a candle builds, right, it starts
hmm
from the price action that happens in the beginning is the one that you see here. But then towards the end of the month, like after the 15th or probably after the 20th, is when you start really knowing what's going on here. Same thing, you can actually measure the same thing with a weekly or a daily kind of thing. If you look at the day, a weekly candle, right? The first day, second day, third day, that thing could go really volatile, but then it starts stable. It will, will be more stable towards the end of the week because you know what I mean. It has more data already to go by. So yeah, that's something that I've been noticing in terms of price action. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, man. That's
So yeah, I really like it. It looks good. It's always a but, right? I'm always looking for the buts. Why? Because obviously, we have to see both ways. So just want to ask you guys, where are you guys in terms of, are you bullish? Are you fully bullish now? Are you fully bearish? Are you ranging? Are you, what are your thoughts at the moment?
Maurizio, quick question. Just spend
Yeah.
30 seconds on it. So it's from Charlie, but let's make sure everybody that we click the everyone button so that everybody can see the things. She's asking about wallet warming. If you transfer a large amount to a new wallet, is it necessary to warm the wallet before it can be taken out? I mean,
What
this
do you
sounds
mean?
a bit
Like,
like,
what do you mean about warm wallet? Like, I don't,
well, yeah,
probably,
this is what I mean. This sounds
yeah.
like something that was heard over a cigarette round in the back car park or something, like this wallet warming seems to be an invented thing. So I would say the best thing to do is if you've got a whatever wallet you've got, go to the wallet website, read the FAQs. If there's nothing about wallet warming on the
Mm.
website, then it probably doesn't exist. If you could then email the customer services of that wallet, they'll then tell you whether it exists or not and the reason why they don't have it on their FAQs on the site.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I don't know on like what reason, under what circumstances you want to warm a wallet. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's I don't know. Like if you spend more, I probably go, you know,
With you.
give you a little bit of a, but yeah, yeah, don't know.
Do on that one. So good question from Dennis here. Wondering where to take profit, for example, on Aero. I'm up $1,900 with gross
Yep.
crypto valuation at 60K. So before Maurizio gets into it, let's always think about what Scott would say here. If it's good enough to take a screenshot, it's good enough to take profits. You can go halvesies at any time, meaning that you
Exactly.
can take half of it off the table. Can you
Mm-hmm.
can you sleep at night? Because if you can't sleep at night, then the position is too big or the profit is too big. And remember that the best risk management is the one that you actually use.
Mm-hmm. We'll go into the arrow because that trade is doing really, really well. So I'm just managing that one. So it's one of those things in terms of where the market is at, right? When let's go through Bitcoin first, right? And then let's talk about so you get the full picture of where we're at the moment. So, and that will give you a little bit of an answer in terms of if you should be taking profits or not, or should be taking partials or things like that, right? And this is just an idea. This is just the way that I might see things in terms of the market, but that doesn't mean to be if it makes sense, if it resonates with you, then you take it. If not, then you can just figure out different levels to take profits at. With levels, the only thing to be mindful is that the market doesn't need to reach that level. Just because you put a level there, that doesn't mean that the market needs to hit it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of something that I'm always mindful. You always draw these levels, like the trade that we took at 100K. Bitcoin, the reason why I took it is because I start seeing price action around that level. So that's a confluence between your level, right? And the price action that you see at that level. That gives you a little bit of that increases the chances that the trade is going to go the way that you think is going to go. Period. You know what I mean? Like that's something that you have to be mindful. So where we at in Bitcoin? So we took this trade last week, right? Stop loss around here. I was, we were monitoring this level for a while, man, and obviously it was a little bit daunting to buy at this level. We almost got stopped out, but now it seems to be working. But where are we at? If I remove this, do you guys see a bullish price? I'm talking about the daily. Let's talk daily at the moment. Do you see a bullish or bearish ranging? What type of price action do you see here?
Looks like a nice retest to me.
All right, perfect. Let's challenge that thought. Okay, so it is, let's start with from the weekly. Okay, from the weekly perspective, right, we definitely see a very, very bullish price action, right? Because obviously we just bounce out of this level here. Let me just, yeah, do I have that level? Yeah, bounce out of this level here. We sort of front run this level, the 997, 9800, give it or take, right? And that looks pretty good, right? Like that looks pretty good. Now on the other side, on the other side of the spectrum, this candle here, the weekly, broke a structure of this sort of range. So we have 50-50 possibilities kind of thing, right? In terms of a structure. So if, what I'm saying is that you guys have to see everything, not only the bullish, but the possibilities of a bearish. Would you agree? If I put it that way, Ian?
Yeah, I would.
All right. Okay. Check this out, for instance. Let's see what happened here, right? You have a break of structure right here. We have a few days, right? And then we sort of reclaim that area right there. So this is what I want to see to be fully bullish. Look at this. See what I mean? Like we're very close, don't get me wrong. We're very close. But let me just show you this one here, right? This happened on the 21st, right? I'm just talking price action. I'm not saying, in terms of fundamentals, what's happening, but this is something that, over and over again. So break structure, it takes a little bit of while to build up. Then this one did not have continuation, right? This price action here broke down and we started going bearish, right? So with that being said, right, this is something that I'm aware of. Okay, so you have to put in the back of the cards that says, okay, we have a possibility, right? So we go now in terms of thinking about possibilities. Can this break, or this is gonna give us the fucking thing around for a little while? We're gonna retest again here and then appreciating back up, right? Is that a possibility? Yes, right?
Yeah.
This is still a possibility. So that's why we're trading, right? So obviously, in order to go fully bullish, definitely, I might miss the boat, but I would definitely want to see price action, especially on the weekly, coming back up out of these ranges to have the continuation of bullish range, right? I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it will not happen. I don't know, man. This is what we have at the moment. And this is what I go by. Now, let's bring it back to the daily, okay? With the daily, you see that it broke down here, structure broke down here, right? So we have that line, all these charts are going to go up. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember the target that I have for this trade, right? Which is around here, around the 108, pretty much this is kind of the area. However, if we start failing back up, we might rearrange back up here like that, or we can just start falling back to the 94,000 range or retest these lows right here. Can that happen? Yes. So now that we are in this trade, what I will suggest, and probably, if you are in this trade, I'm gonna take 50% and move the stop loss. Whatever happens. If this have continuation, then happy days. If it turns back down, then doesn't really matter. Then I'll assess what's gonna happen here. If we get here, you know what I mean? What are the risks of moving the stop loss? This could hit this level here and then bounce back, right? That can be a risk, but then it's, you know, you always can actually get back in, you know what I mean? I'm talking about the leverage trade. In terms of if you buying this as a DCA or spot, then we bought around here. I don't mind adding more here. I'm fully bullish long term, so that's a different mindset between the trades that we're taking. Okay, so that's kind of in a nutshell, right, what I'm seeing in terms of Bitcoin from the price action perspective. Okay, so obviously this range right here is a very important one to break or fail. Okay, so I don't want to, you know, I don't want to risk it. Yeah, we already have profit with profit, so obviously take some, move stop loss, happy days, right? Now, if we let's go through the possibilities, right? So how many of you think that this man, let me just, because I like to keep these scribbles, because you know these are the scribbles that we did last week, and you notice how they play out. You know what I mean? Like you know, we were looking at those ranges play out the price action, and bang, right? This one, remember a while back, that was on the 27th of October. We were talking about end of the month stuff. You know, if we break these levels, we didn't break, and then we went all the way down here. That wouldn't be a really great short. I didn't take it, but you know, that wouldn't be a really great short, right? Now, so those are the first things that I'm looking at. So let me just remove all this stuff, and then let's start with new scribbles, new theories, new thesis, right? Because we have a new week. Right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So now that we're here, right, with this price action, let me just make this bigger. How many of you think that we're going to do this? We're just going from this point on, right? Oh, come on. We're going to do this. How many of you think that that's going to happen? Eventually, yes, no. Yep, bounce, so to 200, not so fast, right? So we have mixed thoughts, right? How many of you think we're going to do this?
Oh, that's interesting. More downside deviation.
Todd say yes. Okay, all right. And how many of you think we're going to do this?
Wow, these are tricky today, Maurizio. These are tricky.
I know, that's why you know.
Hmm.
All right, no. And how many of you guys think we're going to do this?
Well, I think that last one is the lowest percentage chance.
All right, yeah, I agree. No. Okay. How do you know? No one knows, man, to be honest. Very tough. The only thing that I can think we could know is when we get to these levels, you know, then we assess the price action and the CVD and the confluence and the open interest to see what traders are doing at these levels. That's it, man. You know what I mean? In order, what I do think is eventually are we going to get again to all-time highs? Yes, I do think so, right? But then the problem is which one is going to happen first? You know, a downside, or we're just going all the way now up here. So on the back of that, right, we have to be aware that there is, in terms of fundamentals, right, we do have the government reopening probably in the US. That's going to have a positive flow liquidity into markets, especially on risk assets, right? That's kind of something that I've been watching. So obviously, which one is going to happen first before that happens? That's going to be the tricky situation, right? So, that doesn't mean that we cannot actually trade the markets like this, right? We had this level here, we went long, we put a stop loss, and now, take some profits. If whatever happens, happens, right? That's kind of something to, move your risk off the table, get some free money if we get this sort of lower possibility chance that this could actually appreciate there. So plans could be, take some profit now, move the stop loss, which I'm doing at the moment. And then if we get to this level here, the 116 level, that will be another possibility to take some more profits off this trade. But this could be another time to add more into the trade, right? Because we know that this level here is a very, very important level, So if, we see the price action doing something like this off this level, then we know that there's buyers around this area. That's basically what I'm aiming for. So I'm always, in terms of possibilities, not sure where we at, right? I'm very, I'm quite even, especially on all these possibilities. So don't have any bias yet. Let's see if we can answer some more, if we do have some more data to go by. Yeah, right here. Okay, so let's have a look at Bitcoin. Okay, so where we at? So Bitcoin looks pretty good, man. Like now if we see this confluence of spot volume coming through, right? We see that the volume is coming through yesterday, which is Sunday, my Sunday, right? And it starts coming through along those lines. Now I'm very, guys, how I feel in terms of the liquidity that comes from the weekends. It could be real, it could not. So obviously, I'm just being aware when the liquidity came in, and the liquidity came in yesterday, right? Like 8 hours before the daily close. Okay, so this is something to be mindful. The big liquidity that we were tracking, I don't know if you guys watched the videos or not. The main liquidity that I'm tracking is around here, right? Around this area, the 102 range. Okay, this is the biggest liquidity that I'm seeing. Why? Because obviously happened during the week. It is the first bounce that happened from the 100K, and now we can definitely see that we can definitely see that around here, right? Even though what we're trying to actually break down again, that was on Friday, I think. Yep. Now that level is holding pretty okay-ish, right? So I'm saying that 102, that's kind of where we seen that support line. Okay, so if we have another retest to 102, I'll be interested in buying. If we break that down, then I'll be interested in perhaps shorting all the way down to 98. Probably that could be an interesting trade-off, right? But that's until then, I just be very, very mindful of this liquidity. So if you keep track of, if this liquidity starts shaving off, right, then this move all the way down to 106 might not be sustainable, right? Until then, it looks pretty good, man. If this didn't happen on a Sunday, I will say let's go long right now. You know what I mean? Because obviously it has the price action behavior that we want to see. On top of that, we're seeing a lot of liquidations to the upside right here, right? So we have liquidations. So that's actually quite good. So So from that perspective, it looks pretty interesting. It looks pretty good from the very, very small time frame perspective. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing on Bitcoin right now. Another one that is quite interesting is Ethereum. So I did talk about last week that Ethereum looked a little bit better. I didn't long Ethereum. I only long Bitcoin, but it looked better, right, from that perspective. And actually, right now is kind of breaking that 200 MA. You know, we still have this massive level of liquidity to break, right? So obviously, going long right here is pretty kind of tough because it could retrace, right? It could do something. Remember, yeah, the 27th of October that I was talking about this level here, same deal, right? A lot of liquidity to break around here. Same thing here. You know, you have a lot of shorts that it will open pretty much here because it broke structure to the downside. Which one is it going to win? Who knows? So what's the safest play in a way, right? Just wait until this do something like this, right? Until you see, you know, that longs are winning the race, right? Because at these levels, a lot of volatility will happen. You know, a lot of volatility will happen. Okay, so it looks good. It's on their way, definitely. If we look at this from the weekly perspective, this thing looks amazing, man, from the weekly perspective. Okay, and can you guess why it looks a little bit better than Bitcoin?
Why it looks a little bit better than Bitcoin. Because ETH Bitcoin is also pulling back after well, it's been in an upshot since April, really. But why does this look a little bit better? Is it because of the amount that it is pulled back so far?
Exactly. So just think about price action as a structural thing, right? This is the weekly. This level here was the one that actually broke to the all-time highs right here, right? So we holding this structure here. See, like we haven't had a close below this range. So this structure, right, technically is intact, okay? If we have a look at Bitcoin, this one, right, started to sort of break down from this structure. See the difference in terms of price action from the weekly perspective? So it looks a little bit better. I'm not saying that, you know, but then the thing is, if these things are so correlated in terms of which one is it going to go, I think both will go. You know what I mean? Like at the moment, the way that the market is moving is very, very correlated. So if Ethereum starts going down, it's going to drag down the Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts going down, more than likely it's going to drag down Ethereum a little bit. If we look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, right? So this is the strength between Ethereum and Bitcoin. So which one should be in? Either Ethereum or Bitcoin, right? If you need to choose. I will say right now, we do have that break, right? Which happened on July, right? Which, you know, and this is when everything is going to go nuts in terms of alts, right? When Ethereum catches its breath and has continuation, right? And for the time being, it looks like is resting on that level here. So it looks like Ethereum seems to going to win the race. Seems right now by what we're seeing here in terms of the weekly. Can we chop around right here? Yes. If Ethereum against Bitcoin starts going below this line, this level here, I think you know, Bitcoin alt season is going to take longer. That's kind of, this is how we can measure or a possibility that we do going to have alt season or not, right? Another big thing that I'm watching, and I haven't shown you these guys, is the USDT dominance. So I know, Ian, you talk about Bitcoin dominance a lot, right? So we
Mhm.
do have in terms of dominances, Bitcoin, Ethereum, but we do have USDT dominance. What that means is when the USDT dominance is high, it means that people are going on cash. So if you're going in cash, more than likely they're selling their positions to just to hold, right? And we do have two dominances, USDT and USDC. So there's a good chart that you can actually do, and it's the combination of USDT and USDC. So you can build this chart by doing the crypto cap of both, and then divide it by 2, and that gives you sort of like a good idea of where all the positions are at the moment, like in terms of are we in cash or are we in in alts, or so this is the first thing that I want to watch, and I want to make sure that this starts going down. That's what I want to see, right? That dominance starts going down. That means this is a lot of interest in going into alts heavily. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
by at the moment we're ranging. It's a big range, but do you see a clear direction of this at the moment?
Yeah, so the clear direction seems to be an uptrend, which would signify risk off behavior because
Mm-hmm.
people are on the sidelines getting their capital. Well, they're on the sidelines. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're on the sidelines.
Exactly. So this is interesting, right? Like obviously, but bear in mind that this is the weekly perspective. So right. So
Mhm.
yeah, you can go down and have a look at the daily to get a better perspective of what's gonna happen, right? So,
Mhm.
and if I go to the daily, doesn't tell me anything, right? It doesn't tell me that they're ready to go. What I want to see is something like this, right? This location, and that this is on the 19th of October when actually Alts, had that massive run, and this is when everything, start going crazy, right? So
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that we could, like, as long we're in the range, right? Then we can play the range in a way, like we just do small trades here and there. But then this is what I'm timing, perhaps to actually, hold for longer and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, so obviously it's still very, very choppy on that perspective. Another one that I'm
Right.
gonna show, another one that I'm gonna show you is the ratio between Bitcoin and altcoin and the USDT, USDC. So it's same chart, but as a ratio of Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin divided by the chart that we just had a look, right? Which one is stronger if the cash or Bitcoin dominates at the end of the day, right? So what I want to see, right? So if you look at this from the daily perspective, we can actually see that, Bitcoin starts to pull up here, right? That's
Mhm.
kind of an interesting. So if we do have continuation here, more than likely we're going to have continuation of Bitcoin. But have in mind something. Are you guys aware that we do have different type of indicators? Like we have lagging indicators and leading indicators in the market, right? Lagging indicators are indicators that happen with price action, therefore they just, it happens after. And leading indicators are stuff that you can actually preempt before it happens. Have in mind that this is a lagging indicator. This is just to give you a ratio of how the market is behaving after the price action has actually been in place. So obviously this is not predictive in that regard. So obviously I have a look at this just to see where we are in terms of structure. So in terms of structure as a ratio, we are heading the way we want to go in a way, right? So
All
so
right.
it, you
I
know what
got
I mean?
about a million questions to ask you about this.
I know. All right, shoot.
Right, I'll even turn the camera back on. I'll put my glasses on for this. Okay. So let's go back to USDT dominance. I think USDT. So first of all, what have you done here? Like, what's this division? Like, what's the ratio? What's the magic
All
that's
right.
happening here?
Okay. So you with market caps, right? You have USDT dominance. This is the chart of USDT dominance only. Okay.
Hmm.
Now the problem with that only having a look at USDT is you're missing the USDC side of thing. A
Hmm.
lot of big stuff happens with USDC. Why? Hyperliquid works on USDC, right? A lot of
Hmm.
the DeFi stuff will work on the USDC. Coinbase, right? Coinbase uses the USDC heavily, right? And they going and started doing so it will be a mistake only to look for USDT. Okay. So
Hmm.
you have the USDC, and they work very similar. However, I just want to see how both interact. So on TradingView, you could create a chart, right? You could create many charts in TradingView. So let's create it. Let me delete this one and then let me create one. So because you do want to add both, right? You want to add
Hmm.
both. You basically, take the USDC, put
I'm
in
going to type
parentheses.
this in the chat as you do it.
Yep,
Okay. So USDT dot D.
yep. Plus, make sure you open parentheses, right? Plus, right? USDC.D, right?
And you
Which
don't
is
need
this one.
parenthesis on the USDC.
No, because I already had it.
Okay.
I already had it, and then you close parentheses,
Hmm.
right? And then that's basically summon the price act or the dominance on both, right?
Uh-huh.
But then because you want an average, right? So you do that one plus the second one divided by two, and that gives you the chart, right? And then you add it here, right? And then I just take it where all my dominances are. So that's how you know, right? Or that's a way to build your own charts, right? You can build
Mhm.
averages, you can build, in order to sort of, this is a way
But
to, it's not exact, guys, but this is a way to track where liquidity is going in a way, and that's kind of what we want to measure, right? This is a measure of where liquidity is at the moment. Is that on Bitcoin? Is that on Ethereum? Is that on USD? And it's just a simple way to do it. It's not the exact science, but it's lagging. Bear in mind that this is just going to give you what happens after that. Okay.
yeah. So that division that we've done there, Maurizio, why don't
Yep.
we just add them? Why don't we just add them together? Why do we have to do the division?
The division is just basically a math to do an average, right? So the average of both,
Right. That just
right?
gets us. So that gets us an average of the two
Exactly.
top savings.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. And then
Um,
that's basically, you know, something interesting to be mindful. I am, yeah, for some reason, I don't know, I haven't shown you this for some reason. I should have, like, this is part of all the stuff that I look on a daily basis, the
mm.
dominances, Bitcoin, Ethereum, cash, and obviously, the ratio of those, right? Because those
Yeah,
are the
because
main
that
things.
that ratio one is interesting because
Hmm.
I didn't know how you were using that, and we want to see how you put that one together because the way that I've been looking at the USDC and USDT is as two separate entities. And then I've kind of said to myself, well, given the total market cap of these, you only need it to drop off by about 1%. And then money is flowing like there's no tomorrow. So we don't need these massive, massive moves. A small move, a 1% move can be huge. And then I've been again individually comparing that to altcoin dominance and
Hmm.
Bitcoin dominance and like
Exactly.
Ethereum BTC, but I've been doing that all as like an individual, this one, that one, this one, that one. But you're
Yeah.
coming up with
If
these ratios.
exactly a ratio is definitely a ratio is just to know which one is stronger. Same principle that you do against Ethereum against Bitcoin or Solana against Bitcoin, or same principle. When you load Ethereum against Bitcoin, that is a ratio. It's a ratio of the price of these two. So which one is stronger? If chart goes to the upside, then the first one, Ethereum, is stronger. If the chart goes to the downside, means Bitcoin is stronger. Same principle. Now, when you take the ratio of the dominances, same deal. Where the cash is flowing, is that going to Bitcoin dominance, or is that going to cash at the moment? You know what I mean? So that's kind of, and if you look at this price, have a look at this, and this is why this is so interesting. Have a look at this price action, right? And now let me show you the price action of Bitcoin. Let me just remove these things. What do you see?
It kind of looks the same, doesn't it?
Exactly. And exactly. So why? Because it replicates, but when you start seeing USDC, so what I want to see in order for this ratio to be helpful, I want to see ratio breaking down this area, and if that goes along with Bitcoin, then that's good. You know what I mean? That's basically what we want to see to make sure that we're going to have at least target to 116K. You know what I mean? That's where we are at the moment.
Nice. So just finally then, the input for this BTC dominance, USDC dominance, do we need to use the parenthesis and the division again?
Yes, I think it's better. So you do the math properly. You know what I mean? Like, so once you have this one, right? Basically, the only thing that you could do is go here, and then at the beginning, right? You put BTC.D divided by, and then you load it. There you go. That's how you build it, right?
Okay, great stuff. Yeah, that is really interesting, because I was starting to look at that USDC, through the lens of this Genius Act. So
Yes.
I was actually questioning what the effect would be on these dominances, in that the Genius Act opens the doors for tokenization of every asset with the
I
dollar
know.
as the
Yep.
underlying exchange mechanism. So if anybody's wondering how this Genius Act actually works, right? You can't stop selling ships to China, right? They're building their navy. You might as well sell them the chips. The way that you win is you control the money supply. So the Genius Act effectively makes the digital dollar the strongest currency in the world, because it is the mechanism, it's the apparatus that you use to do anything financial, and it opens up all kinds of markets. There's trillions and trillions that are going to come in from that, and it's going to put the Americans absolutely at the top of the tree with that Genius Act.
Exactly. Well, that's one possibility, right? But that's one of that's what we all hope so, right? But then obviously bear in mind that not in terms of stables. There is a lot of protocols being open, a lot of different new coins and new, now companies will be able to create their own stables, things like that. That is going to be very interesting in terms of how it's going to deploy, like how it's going to develop, right? But for the time being, obviously, we know, like, the strongest stuff at the moment is USDT, USDC. This is at the biggest market caps, the biggest markets. So until new players come along, then that will be in my sort of stables bucket, right? Kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. That's going to be very positive for crypto in a way, right? At least for the stable narrative. So with that being said, I'm looking at you know, things that I'm looking at to get position on will be definitely XPL, right? So I'm still looking at XPL. XPL had a pretty good, not pretty good, nice, you know, had a little bit of recovery from these lows. Now, so I'm looking at this one, and another play in the market is called Stables. I don't know, man, it's so many markets, but this one could play along the same ways of XPL at the beginning. So I'm watching at this one very, very closely. I'm looking also at STVL. That is another. Yeah, I'm gonna build a protocol. Spaghetti charts out of these things, man. That's my plan for today. So that one as well, I'm watching at this one very closely. So obviously all these ones, you know, get launched, get the airdrop, and they die. But you know, all these new projects have the same sort of behavior. After they die, people stop selling, and then new buyers come in, and that's how at least it will get to listing price. So that's kind of the first targets that I'm watching. So I'm watching that one very closely. Obviously, XPL, same deal. XPL is kind of giving us that behavior of it wants to actually start breaking. So I might start looking at this. However, if we start seeing a retracement on Bitcoin, right, at these levels, right, then expect that we're going to have lower lows, right? So yeah, that's why my eyes are in Bitcoin technically. You know, just we have to be mindful of where we at in the market. We're not fully bullish yet. You know what I mean? Like yet. Can that happen in about half an hour? Yes, it can. But until then, that's kind of the way I'm playing it. You know, so yeah, have that in mind.
Nice, nice. Do we want to take a few chart requests?
Oh, let's talk about
Wanna go-
Arrow. Let's answer the
Yeah.
question about Arrow. So we took this trade right here, right? So okay, where am I with Arrow? Arrow has been the best performer, man. Best performer. And I think there is a highly likelihood that at least we're going to get out these levels here, which are around 1.5. So how do you know if you wanna, you know, take profits or not? This is a very, very tough situation. That's why probably the best bet is when you say, when do I take profits? Probably start taking profits now. You know what I mean? Take 20%, 30%. And then obviously my target, right, ideally, right, is going to be around, like if we break this level here, right, this level of liquidity 1.12, more than likely we're going to get up to 1.5. Now the question is, are we going to break a 1.5? Don't know. No one can tell you anything, right? But if you're still able to have a little bit of position there, your position, and then it's nothing is stopping you to re-enter on a bigger, you know what I mean, targeting around the 2.3. But for the time being, I'm gonna leave it like it is. I'm not taking any profits yet, right? This is in my, like, is holding a lot. Bear in mind that one of the downsides of doing that, if the market retraces, it can stop me out. I'm okay with that. If you're not okay with that, take some profits, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so it feels horrible when you have profits and you basically close this on a stop loss. It has happened several times, but this is one of the things that you know, depends on what the market is doing. So with this one in particular, yes, I'll leave this one like that. We have Trump as well that we took. Let's have a look at Trump. So Trump, all right, okay. Trump almost stop us out. We are a little bit on the water with Trump, but with Trump, my first target is around the $10. Take some profits, move the stop loss, and then happy days with that one, right? That's kind of that one. Besides, with all the stuff that we added over the weekend, we added on, no, before last week, we added on Asta. Asta is actually doing pretty good. So Asta, I think I'm gonna add more. Pump. Pump is on something that I'm thinking about adding. So if you look at this from the, where are you? All right, we have this range right here, give or take, yeah. Okay, so pump, this is the day that we have the liquidation day. You know, managed to get a little bit before, below that area. It's been very volatile, right? So very tough to actually do it on leverage. But with this one, I'm thinking about adding more on the spot backs, right? And the reason why revenue is still going strong and it looks pretty good. It looks like a good area. So, but have in mind that if we do have a retracement on Bitcoin, all altcoins are going to start flashing and will be better opportunities to all. So don't go, you know what I mean? Split it, but I'm thinking about, depends on how we go this week, how my add around this level looks pretty good. Another one that I'm thinking to add is definitely virtuals. So virtuals, virtual, not virtuals, sorry. I don't know why I keep doing the pro. Anyhow, virtual, right, we are in this range. What I want to highlight is two things. Have a look at this behavior, right? Very, very similar pump, right? Behaviors, they look very alike. So market is very, very correlated at the moment. The good thing about virtuals is that we are above the level of breakdown. Okay, so this, it looks much, it looks, structurally speaking, it looks a little bit much better than pump. You know what I mean? So obviously this is something that I might think about doing leverage, right? Because it hasn't been able to break down to the level of breakdown. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, the level of breakdown was around here, right? Right? That was when everything goes to shit. So, and this is an interesting measure of when the market, like which coins are stronger. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that we're going to take off from here. It could, right? But what that means is if we do get another flash, and this one is not able to actually come down this level, I'll go heavily on leverage on this one. You know what I mean? Like going heavily on leverage here is tough, but if we do have another flush and we measure and we, you know, and the price is not able to come down here, then that'll give me a really nice entry, man. You know, am I going to get it? Who knows? You know what I mean? But this is something that if we do, then could be a really interesting trade. Okay, so yeah, I think, guys, I think that's pretty much my favorites for now. So if you, I don't know if you guys have any questions or any chart requests or things like that. Oh, last one. Yeah, I have in my list. Yeah, Mantle. So Mantle. Okay. So Mantle, very, very interesting right now as price action. We're still below this breakdown area. I don't mind start adding here, right? If we start going lower, I might add more, but I think Mantle could provide us a really good setup, at least going back up. We added around 1.6 around here, and then market shit itself. But then I'm thinking about adding more into this one. So those are the best, you know, setups that I'm seeing at the moment.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
AGP, the best place to get updates on the vault is from the trend update group and also from Scott's daily emails. So those are the two places to stay up to date with the trend vault. Man, I'm feeling bullish, Maurizio. I'm feeling
Man,
bullish, you know?
I try to avoid feeling anything.
Mm,
Every
mm.
time that every time that I feel bullish, you know, things crashes, and every time that I feel bearish, things goes back up. So I'm training myself to not to feel anything, being
Mm.
very insensitive with the market. So that's kind of it's interesting. But if you add what we just said, I think we could be on the verge of, popping up. We are going right now heavily. No, as you can see, everything is sort of fighting that level, right? So
Mhm.
so 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 yeah, that's but it looks good, man. It looks good.
Yeah, let's wait until next week where it'll be like, fucking hell, what went wrong?
I know. I know it's one of those things, right? It's one of those things that fuck. But anyway, yeah, obviously it's Monday, you know. Uh price action started happening from Friday, so I will expect a little bit of retracement at least for the next 2 3 days, and start seeing how the market behaves, especially with New York. New York, it definitely gives the 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 real price action, and if they want to go heavy on it or not, right? So, but that doesn't mean we if we wait until everything happens, we're gonna miss a lot of different things. So we just going slowly, you know what I mean, and not going all in at the moment.
Nice. All right,
Ah,
lovely.
hold on, Todd mentioned something. Let's have a look at the CME gap. Yeah, it was. Let's have a look at the CME gap. Right here. All right, we just had a gap. Thank you, Todd. Yeah. So we do have a CME gap from 105 to 104, give it or take. So we do have that gap to be mindful. So yeah, 104 kind of. So we do fill that gap. There's gonna be this retracement. So let's see if that holds. If that holds, then that gives a little bit better perspective over the New Year session. So yeah, thanks, Scott.
Nice. All right, everybody. See you in the group. See you next
All right,
week.
guys. Have a good one.
Ta-da.
Bye bye.